Welcome to conference. This week we are on our second week of studying Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you don't have the book, we have it on our homepage. You can just link into it or get it literally at any bookstore. So join us. We're reading the preface this week and through page 30. So beginning Man's Search for Meaning, I want to just recap last week a little bit and say why am I having you read this very heavy book? And the answer is because I believe it is a teaching and I believe it's applicable to each one of our lives. I think I mentioned this last week, but when he wrote this in 1949, he wasn't going to put his name on the book. He didn't want to author it because he wanted it to be, rather than about the concentration camp experience alone, he wanted it to be a gift to humanity. He wanted it to be something that we could all read, and basically Viktor Frankl was an existentialist, so this idea of us like really sitting with these hard issues of suffering and looking at our own lives through that. So I just want to say to all of you, I believe that this book is a beautiful teaching of his larger work that we're going to look at this semester, really all of Viktor Frankl's work on bringing meaning to life. And in that, I just want all of you, as I look around the room, and those of you that follow us on the YouTube channel, to know that, you know, here in Orange County or wherever it is that you live in the year 2018, that this book is so relevant and powerful for all of us and the challenges that we're faced with every day, and the decisions we make, the little choices we make every day of our lives. I believe this is relevant. Last week I said, you know, the Yoga Shala and myself, really part of my job is to inspire all of you, as I said last week, to get off the couch of life where we sit and eat cheese puffs sometimes. And, you know, Ashtanga calls us off that couch and says, you know, doing your yoga practice, getting strong, getting more flexible, challenging your breath capacity, and all of this is ways for us to become stronger in our physical body and more healthy in our physical body and our lymphatic system, our cardio system, all of that. And the reason I have us reading this heavy book this semester is because I feel like we need to do the same for our spiritual or our emotional self. And just as we know that if I don't do my yoga practice for more than 3 days, my muscles will atrophy. I know, 3 days. It's the same for us if we're not challenging ourselves spiritually or emotionally. So, so this week, the first teachings we're launching into have to do with us evaluating what is most meaningful in our life. So Viktor Frankl's first title for this book was Say Yes to Life, and he changed the title 10 years later in 1959 to Man's Search for Meaning. So when you begin to read the first chapter, Viktor starts off with, in my opinion, great loss. And when you're reading this book, I feel like it's really important to just have some quiet time alone and to almost use this as a meditation. I know I've read this a few times, but reading it again, I was really struck by the first scene or the first image in my mind when they were being transported on these trains in these box cars where human beings were just stacked on top of each other and on top of their luggage with just close to where the windows were at the very top. They were open for them. And my first image of that, I realized that they were all on top of this piece of luggage, which was everything they were able to take from their homes. So you can imagine first being taken from your home and being told that you could only take what you could fit in the suitcase, you know, and the thought for me of what that would be like to only have the things that were dear to you in the suitcase. But then once they arrived at the camp, the first thing that they took from them was their suitcase. So all of that was taken. And I remember also reading in other books, but also Viktor's, where they had, some of the people had sewn their precious items into their jackets and into their pants, a precious ring or a document or something, in hopes that they could keep a few things that way. And then as they moved into the concentration camp deeper, they took all of their clothes. And just in my mind when I was reading this one, I think, oh my gosh, to be stripped of everything. And the next image that's really a powerful image in my mind is when they then shaved them. And Viktor Frankl describes it as they shaved every single hair off their body, to the point that they weren't recognizable to themselves or to each other. And I thought of literally that feeling of being stripped from all that is important to us. And I think it's really from this place for me of really sitting with what that means to be stripped of everything. And I know for myself, I can remember times in my life where I felt like the jackets of who I am, or the things that were most important to me, maybe started to be pulled away. And when that happens, what we really settle down to is who we are, and also what's most valuable, or what really is most precious to us. And as most of you know, this past year here at the Shala, we've been studying One Precious Life and this idea of impermanence. And this to me is another study, it's another way for us to see ourselves through this lens of impermanence, that we don't get to do this forever. We don't get to be here forever. The things we love the most, we won't have forever. And it reminded me of part of this bigger quote that the Dalai Lama said, that we're all just visitors here. And it reminded me that, yeah, this body, this I call Diana, I don't get to keep it forever. At some point, I kind of give it back to the earth. And my relationship with Scott, one of us will leave here first, So I know that that's impermanent too, how long we have each other. And even things like, I oftentimes things like houses. We have a mortgage on a house and we're working towards owning a house, when really we're just borrowing that as well. Even if one day we say, oh, I own this house now, we're just borrowing it. It's almost, for me, to think of leasing things or renting things is just more of diving into the reality of it. It's like, I'm just borrowing things here. I'm just borrowing this yoga space. I don't know, for me, it really brings me to a place of respect, and knowing that I don't have things forever makes them more precious to me. And I think, again, it brings us to a place where it's a beautiful teaching and a meditation to think, what is most precious to us? To ask ourselves that question almost as a practice. We're going to begin class today with a meditation, a very short, beautiful, powerful, visual meditation. And in that, we're going to walk through a piece of our lives and create some impermanence around that to see what we're left with. I'm going to begin this meditation with 3 chimes, and just let the sound of the bell just take you away from your busy lives and just to this place we call now. Taking a few deep breaths as you finish Shavasana. Just feeling that beautiful yoga buzz of just completing your practice. Feeling calm and then also energized. And begin to roll up your mat as you make your way out of the Shala, out of your practice, saying goodbye to your friends. And making your way to your car. You get in your car and start to drive towards your home. And again, just feeling really good from your yoga practice. Maybe anticipating having breakfast, or what you'll do this morning or this afternoon when your phone rings. You answer the phone, you're told that there is a fire that's quickly moving with the winds towards your neighborhood. To get home quickly, to grab a few things before the evacuation begins. You drive up to the house. You go through the door and quickly gather the people, your precious furry animals that are most precious to you. The police officer outside announces there are 2 minutes left to gather your things and make your way out. And you look around the house, begin to gather only what you can fit in your arms. The officer announces 1 minute to evacuate. And you look around one more time, gathering with this one moment, what is most precious to you? You make your way back to the car. And you begin to drive, knowing that you may not see your house again, or any of the things you've left in your house. And you drive to a safe place by the ocean, somewhere designated as to be safe. As you park the car, you take a deep breath. Right hand over your heart and left hand over your right. You take a moment to pause, just looking around your car. What is inside of it is what is most precious to you. And you move into a thought of gratitude. How grateful you are to have these people, these animals, these things in your life. Finish this meditation with 2 powerful words. Thank you. Namaste.